All right, good day. This transmission is called The Window, the Door, and the Gate. And we will explain this a little bit more clearly in the meditation that will go along with this transmission today, so that you may be better prepared for the three-part transmission coming up in your year of 2023 in January, February, and March, called Becoming a Galactic Citizen, where we will take you through very specific exercises that will involve the window, the door, and the gate to open you up to greater probabilities of contact in the years to come.
Can you share with us your definition and understanding of the word grace and state of grace?
Yes. To put it in the simplest possible terms, it's a state of innocence, a state of purity, a state of allowance and acceptance, like a child, in a sense, that hasn't yet unlearned how to be its natural self. State of grace is the innocence of the natural self, the acceptance of unconditional love, and the acceptance of self within all that is as an aspect of all that is. So, but again, simply, it could be called a state of innocence.
And you see that innocence, of course, in babies and young children.
Yes.
And then it seems that individuals change at different stages of life and become more and more, quote unquote, realistic or
well, again,
less naive.
It's about the idea of finally getting to the point where you are going to start experiencing the theme you chose to explore. When you say realistic, it simply means, all right, you have accepted that you have this theme to explore, and the experience of physical reality will help you do that, and you accept that and you move forward.
So why does, in many species, you see this sort of loss of sweetness, I guess? The survival mechanism becomes much more dominant. Is that part of what you're explaining to us?
On that level, yes. You start to accept that you have a role in physical reality based on the collective consciousness and what it needs to experience, and you start playing that role.
So was Earth always like a predatory planet? And can you help us understand about our relationship to having an environment that is essentially predatory?
It was not always such, but the idea again is that the Earth is what you might call a tough school. It is a school of cycles. It is a school of positive and negative and polarities and experience of such. So it has fluctuated back and forth many times in different ways. But the idea, as we have said, is that the primary environment of your planet as you understand it in nature is predatory, mostly because you are still exploring the idea of predation. Remember that as you change yourself in the present, you change your past. So the past you think was always there wasn't always there.
And it seems like the dinosaurs were extremely predatory.
That's the past you believe in right now.
Can you explain that further? I mean, like, it is pretty amazing that we have these dinosaurs in our history of our planet. That is so extraordinary.
In the history that you're creating from your present.
So this change in our history, what level of vibration would our civilization need to be at to have a completely different version of Earth that didn't have dinosaurs?
Or had different kinds of animals that weren't necessarily exhibiting or reflecting the idea of predation in the way that you experience a day, would be above 200,000 cycles per second in your overall frequency.
And what percentage of our planet population is at that frequency level presently, would you say?
Less than 2%.
And on balance, then, the population is functioning at what?
You want an average for the entire collective of your planet?
Yes.
Somewhere around 60 to 70,000 cycles per second.
Okay. And so will contact be limited to people who are functioning over 200,000 cycles per second, or just in the initial stages, those individuals would perhaps have contact first?
It might be that they will experience certain kinds of contact before others, but that can help others raise their vibration knowing that that's going on as well. It doesn't have to be exactly 200,000 for there to be some form of open contact. And again, remember, it depends on what you're having contact with. But the idea is it can start somewhere around 150 to 160,000 cycles per second, minimally, slowly, and it can build. What we are talking about is that above 200,000 cycles per second, there would be something considered to be normal, constant open contact.
And so for an individual to have contact with you, what kind of frequency level would they need to have in order to have a good experience?
At this particular point, again, definitely above 200,000 cycles per second, probably closer to 215,000 cycles. At this point.
And would one of the key things of individuals functioning in that level is that they are genuinely able to stay in a positive state no matter what they encounter?
Yes, because choosing anything else simply doesn't make sense to a being operating on that level.
And their consciousness would be much more clear in terms of all of their, or most of their beliefs, or important beliefs.
Let me put it to you in an extremely overly simplistic kind of way. Would you be willing right now to punch yourself in the face as hard as you can? Yes or no?
No.
Well, it would be that kind of an obvious choice to those operating above 200,000 cycles per second that they simply wouldn't choose something that doesn't make sense for them, that they don't prefer. It's simply not on the list of choices. Yes, they know it's always a possibility, but the probability is so low that they simply would not choose it in a practical day-to-day sense. Just like you would not choose to punch yourself in the face.